Traveler, hurry, have a seat. I've heard something, if you have time to listen.
Night came early in the valley, and something came with it. Chapter 4. The horses were placed carefully into their stalls, one at a time, steady hands and quiet voices, bolted firmly, then tied down as a second measure, because fear could make even the gentlest beast break itself trying to flee. The cows were brought in after, heavy bodies shifting in the barn's dim lanes, hooves thudding soft in packed earth. The hens were collected last, fluttering and offended, and settled into an empty stall that was closed and locked like a poor excuse for safety. Kaighleigh whistled, sharp and quick. The shaggy dog came at once, scruff and muscle, bright-eyed, tail up, running swift into the barn as if it had been waiting all day for a reason to be useful. A protector of sorts, just for this purpose. The dog hated intruders, and if strangers stepped where they did not belong, it would make sure they knew. It was getting darker now. The sky outside bled from gold to bruised violet. The edges of the mountain bowl turned into a shadowed rim, and the forest beyond it felt less like trees and more like teeth. Mama called them in for dinner just as they finished locking the large barn tightly. Kaighleigh halted with her hand on the great iron handle. For a moment she didn't move. She wrapped her mind around the aging wood of the barn, the dark, coarse boards collected long ago from the surrounding forest, shaped into this structure by hands that loved life enough to build a shelter for it. A simple thing, a holy thing in its own way. Thank you, wood, she thought solemnly. A large hand gripped her shoulder, tight for a moment, then eased. Kaighleigh turned to see her father in the dimming light. His face was shadowed, but his eyes held steady. For one quiet breath, they understood each other completely. This was their life. It was fragile, but until it broke, they would live. They would live full, and love full. The thought of doom unnerved her. She didn't like to think so cryptically, didn't like the way her mind had been doing it all day, like some part of her could feel the world shifting its weight. Let us go, her father said, voice low but gentle, and give praise to your mother and to the gods for our food. Kaighleigh nodded. He squeezed her shoulder one last time, then turned toward the cottage. She followed quickly, because night would end soon, and Mama did not forgive those who were late. Inside, their customs held. Her father stepped in first, then Kaighleigh. At the table, plates and bowls of steaming hot food waited for them. The hearth was going strong, firelight flickering across the plastered stone walls and the worn wood of the kitchen table. Kaighleigh and her mother sat on either side of the small square. Her father stood at the head of house as he always was, posture straight with a tired kind of dignity. Kaighleigh found her regular spot across from her mother. She sat and let the warmth sink into her skin, easing the chill that had crept into her bones. Her father placed his hands together and looked from Kaighleigh to her mother before he spoke. Kaighleigh put her hands neatly in her lap, waited. "We give thanks to the gods for this food," he said, voice ringing in the quiet. "And thanks to Mama for this food, for a good life and a happy home. Bless us, bless us." Then he sat down and began to shovel food into his mouth like the day had tried to starve him. Kaighleigh looked around. There was more food than normal. Too much. A feast meant for nerves. Her father had already taken another spoon of Mama's chicken casserole and more potatoes before Kaighleigh could even grab a roll. "Oh, for Pete's sake!" Mama burst out. Kaighleigh startled, eyes snapping up. Mama took a large scoop of casserole, leaned over heavily, and slopped it onto Kaighleigh's plate with the force of a woman trying to fix something she couldn't fix. For a moment, Kaighleigh just stared at the overly large helping, disturbed, then at her flustered mother. Nothing ever got this excited at the dinner table. "Virgil," Mama snapped, "give your daughter a chance to get something in her. Look how thin the poor babe has gotten." Kaighleigh lifted the roll to her mouth quicker than lightning, took a bite, and felt soft, fluffy delight melt on her tongue. She swallowed fast, almost guilty for enjoying it. Her father paused in shocked silence. He looked at Kaighleigh apologetically, but Kaighleigh didn't think there was any need for such a ruckus. The tension was thick enough to chew. "It's all right, Mama. Really," Kaighleigh said softly. She tried to smile, tried to smooth the air, but dread had been living in her all day, and now it sat at the table with them like a fourth family member. She just wanted this night and next day to be over. Then she could go up into the mountains with Wulfgar and find what was left of the strays. Maybe she could even play in the stream that fed their cove. And maybe she could trick Wulfgar close to the water again. The first time she'd pushed him in had been the funniest thing she'd ever seen. The memory almost made her laugh out loud. But her father spoke, and her visions of gallantry floated away, popping like bubbles against the stone of reality. "Connie, really, I didn't mean it." His voice softened. "Let us just eat in peace." Her mother's face tightened for a moment, then loosened. She smiled, because she always did. They never stayed cross long, not truly. The tension dissipated, and they began to talk of crops and winter stores. How much wood, how much salt, what repairs the roof might need, what seed might be saved. Normal words, normal problems. Kaighleigh sat straight and ate properly this time, listening to their steady talk like a lullaby. She enjoyed the normalcy more than she ever had before. And then, something slammed into her mind like a fist. Alarms, nausea, a cold rush of Wulfgar's emergency swept over her so hard she thought she might stand and be sick right there at the table. The hair on her arms rose, her skin prickled, her breath caught. "Early morning, Kaighleigh," Wulfgar bellowed. Kaighleigh went rigid, staring at the wall, food halfway to her mouth. "They come. There are more. You must." "Cellar." Her arm moved forward involuntarily. She knocked over the buns. They scattered across the table like startled birds. Then his voice was gone. Kaighleigh blinked. The house came back into focus. "You must help these war men," Kaighleigh said quietly. "There are far more ogres than we thought before." She couldn't look at her parents. She placed her napkin down, then turned away. As if in a daydream, she walked up the hardwood stairs to her room. Next time. The cellar door will close. The night will not stay quiet. And Kaighleigh will learn what it truly means to be hidden.
Wasn't that interesting? Now don't forget to subscribe for more.
And ring the bell for your server.